Entergy is proud to support programming on LPB and greener practices that preserve Louisiana.
The goal of our environmental and sustainability initiatives really is to ensure that our kids and future generations can be left with a cleaner planet.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.
Obviously, children can get sick. Children can get very dangerously sick.
Sean Daly knows that all too well. His 12-year-old daughter nearly died from it.
I'm caught in between. That's as the parent, but then as the teacher.
Coping with the pandemic when you wear two hats, parent and teacher.
We've got 2 projects here right now that cameras are rolling.
With safeguards in place, the state film industry ramps up TV and movie production.
I've never really been one to let myself just be like everybody else.
The drive and passion of LPB Louisiana young hero, Anthony Chasson. Hi, everyone. I'm Natasha Williams.
And I'm Andre Morrow. Much more on those top stories in a moment on this week's edition of SWI.
But first, the latest coronavirus numbers from around the state. More than 136,000 residents have caught the virus and more than 4,300 have died. A bit of good news is more than 103,000 people have recovered.
And now let's look at some other headlines making news around the state. The ongoing pandemic has changed the state's bar exams. The state Supreme Court ruled that those registered for the August and October exams would have an open book test submitted by email. The court had previously ruled recent grads from state schools could skip the exam if extra courses and a mentoring program were completed. Turns out that ruling didn't apply to out-of-state grads or lawyers from out of state wanting to practice in Louisiana. The U.S. Department of Agriculture plans to buy $30 million worth of shrimp from Gulf Coast fishermen in an effort to stabilize an industry that is reeling from problems caused by the pandemic. Louisiana and Mississippi officials called for the help, fearing the price of seafood could collapse because there's too much product, not enough buyers. Louisiana is the second largest supplier of seafood in the country. The state's rice crop could yield one of its best years ever. Agriculture leaders say the weather has been almost perfect for growing rice, and there's been far less disease. It is in sharp contrast to a very wet 2019. The big crop is a bright spot for farmers in a fragile economy. Almost $205 million in Deepwater Horizon oil spill restoration money was approved this week for the development of oyster beds, marine mammal care, and the creation of 1,200 acres of marsh in the Upper Barataria Basin. It is one of the largest marsh restoration projects in state history. The Saints will at least play their season opener against Tampa Bay, scheduled for Sunday, September 13th, in an empty Superdome, minus Who Dat Nation. Team officials made the announcement this week about no fans because of the widespread nature of the coronavirus. The team returns home in Week 3 against Green Bay and will again likely play in an empty house, though no official word yet on that game. Also in the headlines, 7 prominent New Orleans businesses are laying off 1,500 workers.
The State Workforce Commission has been notified, which means the layoffs won't be rehired within 6 months.
The Times-Picayune New Orleans Advocate reports Commander's Palace will let go of 240 workers, Arnaud's in the French Quarter 150.
The Hilton Riverside, Roosevelt, Hyatt Regency, and Wyndham on St. Charles are laying off hundreds of employees. There's drama in the months ahead of the election for Baton Rouge mayor. Former city councilwoman Tara Wicker has yard signs all over the capital city, but now she's been disqualified from running. A First Circuit Court of Appeals ruled Thursday that she might not have filed her income taxes for 2 years. Wicker says she did file, even got a refund in 2019, and plans on taking the matter to the Supreme Court.
Well, college football has dominated sports headlines with questions about the season and what it would look like Some conferences have already canceled this season, at least for the fall, the Big Ten and Pac-10, among others. But the SEC is holding out, along with the ACC and Big 12. I talked with LSU President Tom Galligan right after his latest daily briefing with league presidents.
We're monitoring the situation. We're putting safety first. We have a fabulous medical advisory team, and we're taking it 1 week at a time.
Has it been all together in terms of the president's meeting?
Yeah, the presidents have been all together. The commissioner, Greg Sankey, has done a wonderful job of being transparent with us, of keeping us informed, of giving us full information, and the conversations have been incredibly collegial. We have been at this since April, planning for the fall. And so we think we've put a really strong plan into place, informed by our medical advisors. Last month or earlier, I guess very early this month, we moved to a conference-only schedule, and we restarted the season, and we said we're going to start on September 26th. So, Andre, that gives us more time, and we learn more every day.
Do you feel like because classes are beginning before that time, you might learn some information from the students who have returned to campus, and that might help you make a decision toward whether football is a viable option to continue?
Yeah, most definitely. We're going to learn a lot as students come back to campus. We are also going to learn from those teams that may start their season before September 26th. So we're going to be able to observe their experience. We continue to learn from the Major League Baseball experience, from the NBA experience, from the NHL experience. So again, and I know I've been saying this for as long as you and I have been talking, but really we are learning more every day. We absorb that information, and we're not gonna make a decision based on panic. We're gonna make it based on the best data that we have available.
More than 150 Livingston Parish School District employees and students have been quarantined 3 days into the new school year after someone tested positive for the coronavirus. We talked to a couple of educators who are also parents who shared their concerns ahead of schools reopening. Veteran teacher David Hawkins wears two hats as he prepares for the return of in-person classes in the Jefferson Parish School District. The educator is also a parent to 4 boys. 2 are school-aged, the youngest a first grader.
My greatest concern is those kids in between, actually Joshua and Noah. Joshua, the baby of the bunch, he has, I guess, the caretakers and the teachers looking after them very carefully, closely looking after them. Noah, on the other hand, he's an 11th grader, and he's expected to be a little bit more independent. So with the independence, these kids want to come into their own. So I'm hoping that they will be on top of sanitation as they should.
As great as his concerns are about the health of his students and children, he's also very concerned about the much-needed academic attention he says his students will not be receiving.
My greatest concern is just being prepared to disseminate information to all the kids, being able to reach all kids. And right now, we're not able to reach all kids. As a teacher, so as a parent, I'm concerned with those kids who are not being able to receive the information via the internet.
There shouldn't be any school at all, virtual, nothing until after Labor Day. This will allow more time for parents to become aware.
We spoke with paraprofessional Jennifer Dangerfield on the first day of virtual classes in East Baton Rouge Parish, and she told us point blank she feels they need more time to navigate classes during the coronavirus.
The Google Classroom platform, many don't understand how to access it. Many are having difficulty with it. Some teachers are still struggling to get things in place. And I feel it should be 100% virtual for at least the first semester. maybe some more things will fall into place, more materials, more, partitions could be put up by then. T-buildings should be in place by then, more sanitary stations, and then we'll have, maybe the numbers will have a chance, the COVID numbers will have a chance to flatten out a bit.
Those COVID-19 numbers right now are scary. Earlier this week, nearby Livingston Parish Schools announced more than 100 of its students and faculty are currently in self-quarantine after several staff members tested positive for the coronavirus. The district began using a hybrid learning method with both online and in-person classes on August 7th. Dangerfield says the thought of what could happen in their district has her very concerned.
This is not the flu. This is a very aggressive virus, and it has no picks and chooses. You can be healthy, run track every day, totally 100% vegan, and it can kill you.
Are you a little afraid at this point? Are you afraid of the possibility of what could happen for you and your children?
I am. One of my older sons, he has a heart condition. He takes heart medication. Like, child sneezes or coughs, I get sinus infections a couple times a year. I've had the flu twice in 1 year and bronchitis. Like, it doesn't take much. For many of us, it doesn't take much. It's a strain.
Okay.
And now the conditions are just, they're nothing that we dealt with before. And it really is scary. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't afraid, because I am. I'm afraid for us. I'm afraid for our students. I'm afraid for our parents. I'm afraid for the grandparents that are raising these kids.
Dangerfield says, above all, everyone's safety should be the top priority.
I feel as though children learn better in a face-to-face environment. But you have to have a growth mindset about things. Things change, and these circumstances have forced us to change the way we do a lot of things. I never thought I'd be presenting lessons virtually, but I have been. I've had to jump, dive in head first, quite a few of us. And I feel as though, long as our passion is there, long as our commitment is there, long as we are willing to teach under these circumstances, why not allow us to teach safely?
East Baton Rouge Parish, like many other districts around the state, are scheduled to begin in-person and online learning methods after Labor Day. As the nation focuses on safety issues around going back to school during the pandemic, a new report finds a sharp increase in the number of COVID-19 cases among children in the United States, and hundreds who've been affected right here in Louisiana. 4 children have died. We talked to a father and his 12-year-old daughter who got the virus and suffered 2 cardiac arrests. It's a real-life nightmare that is never really far from Sean Daly's mind, his daughter Juliet's battle with the coronavirus that nearly took her life.
What do you think when you hear people say, oh, kids will get it, they'll be asymptomatic, they won't have any problems? What do you think about that?
Obviously, children can get sick. Children can get very dangerously sick. I think we've had hundreds of cases in Louisiana of children getting sick and 4 deaths so far, which were super tragic. So kids can get just as sick as adults. Everyone definitely needs to respect that. I think those people aren't putting much thought. It's not good to be dismissive of something that's so serious. I understand we're all kind of sick of, we have a lot of fatigue around coronavirus, but it really doesn't hurt to be vigilant and just, washing hands, being a little bit physically distanced, wearing masks. I mean, those are really tried and true ways of avoiding a lot of transmissions. And so I think as long as people stick to that, this should last a lot, less time.
Juliet, how do you feel when you hear people say that children won't get this, or if they get it, it won't be serious, it won't be a big deal? How do you feel having had it?
It makes me mad because other people are suffering from it, and these people are talking that it doesn't even matter.
Help them understand how serious this is. Help them understand how sick you were.
Yeah, I was pretty sick, and very much. And I really, really hope that everyone is looking into that and staying well and being careful, because I don't want anyone to go through that experience.
You don't want anybody to go through the experience you did. You nearly died, right?
Yeah, she had
technically.
2 heart attacks.
The 12-year-old New Orleans area middle schooler did have 2 cardiac arrests after contracting the coronavirus in April. Her heart stopped twice.
It turns out her heart was failing. It just was not pumping, and it ultimately did stop. Thankfully, we were in the emergency room. Certainly, we've heard stories. Other people obviously were not that lucky. We needed a lot of things to go the right way to save Juliet, and thankfully we did. I don't know what the chances of that happening, but easily things could have gone the other way with her. So she did have to be airlifted. She had another cardiac arrest while they're transferring to the helicopter. They had to perform CPR there. And then she was ultimately in the hospital about a week and a half. So it was about as sick as one can get. And recover.
Juliet has fully recovered and, unlike many, doesn't appear to have any long-lasting effects of her near-death coronavirus experience. But now she and her parents face another challenge. She will join her classmates in in-person classes this week. Extra precautions are being taken, but...
So they bring their own masks, and then they're going to have face shields, and then they've spaced the desks, and they have small classes. So they're eating lunch in the classroom. They're not mixing grades. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that they're doing. I am concerned. I think everyone is, everyone I know right now, at least is going to do the right thing. Just be vigilant and make sure that we're doing all those steps that help.
I am nervous that it may possibly spread it to another in the school, and people will get sick. But I'm also happy that school's reopening, so we can continue with learning and improving, so we can keep going forward. So we just need to find that balance to be healthy and keep moving forward.
We'll be following up with Juliet on how her school is going this year in light of having the coronavirus.
After a pause in production, the state film industry, Hollywood South, says it's ready to move forward and work with new protocols in place. I talked with the executive director of Louisiana Entertainment, Sean Daly.
We've got 2 projects here right now that cameras are rolling, one from Amazon and one from Netflix, I believe. So the industry, when this first started, they were already kind of looking at timelines as to, okay, how long is this going to last? What do we need to do, taking advice from medical experts and things like that to pull together the best plan to return to work safely. It's no different than any other industry here in Louisiana. We want to make sure that not only are the cast and crew safe, but the citizens of the state are provided a safe environment as well. So we look forward to full production slate, which I think is going to happen sooner than later. We've had things shooting throughout the pandemic, some smaller projects, some reality-based shows and things like that, commercials and things like that, but nothing of scale until more recently.
Walk me through what a production would look like if we were on the set right now with something going on.
Right. So just like you see in a grocery store, you'll see a lot of people with face coverings. You'll see social distancing. You'll probably see a designated individual. We've termed it a COVID-19 compliance officer, taking temperatures, doing tests if tests are required by the set. You'll see people working in smaller groups. So, you may have Grip and Electric come in and set the scene and then get off. You'll see cleaning. You'll see different things like that occurring so that the workplace can be safer. So we're asking all production to make sure that they recognize that the governor does have a proclamation out there that governs all of this that they must adhere to. You'll see everyone with a mask, most assuredly, except for the performers when it's time to perform. And again, these things are subject to change. So you'll see them setting things up, getting the actors in place. Actors remove the mask, do their thing. They'll probably be spaced a little different than normal. You know, you may see more space in between the actors when they're acting. A lot's to be determined, but, you know, a lot of the close proximity stuff in the early days will probably, you know, go away. You know, you'll see a lot of things done on a green screen, a lot more computer generated images and things like that. The big crowd scenes will, at least in the early stages, be modified in one way, shape, or form. Whether that's completely digital or not, it remains to be seen. But certainly you'll see a lot of commonalities, but you'll see a lot of differences as well.
What areas are seeing work right now? What areas of the state?
Right now, it's in New Orleans. I know Baton Rouge is getting a lot of calls. I know Shreveport's gotten a few calls. We continue to get calls for productions just looking to film. I think it's exacerbated by the fact that there's a gap in the content creation, and so we're anticipating a very healthy, robust slate later this year and early next year. And when the content stream is disrupted in any way, shape, or form, that does create a higher demand. So Louisiana is certainly one of those states that is poised to take advantage of that increase in demand. We've got a great workforce. We've got an excellent infrastructure. We've done this. We've done the film industry for so long here that you know, we're really, really excited about the opportunities that it's presenting us.
What kind of pain has it caused for people who've been not working, who had been used to working, or at least used to working on a more regular basis than having a big drought?
I think it's caused challenges. I mean, everyone is faced with financial challenges. For the most part, you know, they've been able to take advantage of the programs that are out there, unemployment benefits and things like that. Some productions early on kept paying their cast and crew. And contingency plans kicked in, but it's like everybody else. I think everyone is ready to get to work, but primarily when it's safe to do so, when they feel safe to return to the workplace, and I think they're getting there.
When life began for this week's LPB Louisiana Young Hero, he was in trouble. His body didn't work and he needed a liver transplant. He learned early about the miracle of organ donation. Anthony Chasson was home with his family when he watched his name announced as one of this year's Young Heroes. They are Anthony Chasson.
What?
The 16-year-old honor student just finished 10th grade at Catholic High School in Baton Rouge. He placed summa cum laude on the National Latin exam. Because of the coronavirus, school, as he's known it, is in a state of uncertainty. But improvising is nothing new to Anthony. His life began with a number of unknowns. He was just days old when his parents were told their son would survive only with a liver transplant. The donor would be his father.
He was my firstborn, and I was 25 years old. I was very young. We had just been married maybe not even 2 years, so we didn't have much time to process it. You know, he was born in November. We knew a couple of days later that there was something wrong with his liver. In January, we're meeting with doctors locally, and the doctors here are saying his best bet is at Nebraska Medical Center in Omaha, and quite literally within 2 days we're on a plane and we're in Omaha. It was scary, you know, and we were very fortunate that the team of doctors was able to do what they could. It's a miracle to me that they can take a portion of somebody's liver and put it in someone else, and it functions for almost 17 years perfectly. And then we're here, and I got very involved with LOPA right away, and it means a lot to us that, you know, we're able to do some community outreach about this.
LOPA is the Louisiana Organ Procurement Association. Lori Steele is LOPA's community educator. She nominated Anthony.
And his life was saved because of a transplant. In his case, it came from his dad. But together they come as a family and they want to learn as much as they can, and then they want to help make life happen for others. And I just love that. I love that they do it as a family. And I love that even for him at a young age, that he has taken that as a role.
I've never really been one to let myself just be like everybody else. And I really enjoyed pushing myself to do the best that I can and to prove that this illness never holds me back.
This past year, he set his sights on the Louisiana Half Marathon.
Really, since middle school, I've had a passion for running, and it was just another challenge that I set myself up against, and I did it in under 2 hours.
Just over 13 miles. He has also achieved as an Eagle Scout and in the process given back to the community.
Doing my Eagle project, I built a hospital cart for Our Lady of the Lakes Children's Hospital, and they use that to carry books and crayons and other things for the kids while they're just sitting in their hospital room, and it gives them something to do.
Though Anthony lives his life with certain precautions as a transplant recipient, he says he does not feel it confines or defines who he is or what he can do.
While you have to deal with certain things, you can do what you want. You can make the most of your life. It's not debilitating or restrictive.
The transplant team told us when they transplanted him, we transplant these kids to give them life, let him live his life. There may be things that you have to be aware of differently, but don't restrict him. Don't let this hold him back from anything. Encourage him to be a normal kid. We joked, they said, make sure you discipline him. Don't let him turn into a little wretch because you can't bring yourself to tell him no. Keep life as normal as you possibly can.
We've definitely done that.
LPB's Louisiana Young Heroes is presented this year with the generous support of the Propane Dealers of Louisiana and with additional sponsorship from Hancock Whitney, Community Coffee, Demco, and Hotel Indigo. And everyone, that's our show for this week. LPB wants to make sure Louisianans' voices are heard in the National PBS American Portrait Storytelling Project.
Choose a topic at pbs.org/American Portrait, then submit a video, photo, or simply your thoughts. Share your story today.
For everyone here at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Andre Morrow.
And I'm Natasha Williams. Thanks for watching.
Until next time, that's the state we're in.
Entergy is proud to support programming on LPB and greener practices that preserve Louisiana.
The goal of our environmental and sustainability initiatives really is to ensure that our kids and future generations can be left with a cleaner planet.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.